Throughout American history, presidents used foreign summits as an opportunity to forge alliances, negotiate trade deals, and stop deadly conflict. Franklin Roosevelt used the Yalta Conference to put an end to World War II. Ronald Reagan used his meeting with Gorbachev in Geneva to mark the beginning of the end of the Cold War. Donald Trump's summit in Singapore with Kim Jong-un significantly eased tensions on the Korean Peninsula. But when the American president doesn't show up, our allies and enemies notice. And Joe Biden just no-showed the ASEAN Summit in Indonesia. This is the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. Indonesia is hosting this year. It has the largest economy in Southeast Asia and is a key strategic ally to contain the Chinese. The Washington Post calls Biden's no-show a mistake. It's one thing to skip the dinner at the summit, as Biden often does, but to skip the whole summit is suspicious, especially considering the influence the Chinese have on the Bidens. And it's not like Biden's busy visiting East Palestine. Next week, he's supposed to fly out to India and then Vietnam. Back-to-back Asian jaunts would likely be too taxing on the president, so the president sent Kamala instead. And if you've ever wondered what a Harris presidency would look like, feast your eyes on this. We just realized we haven't seen much of Kamala recently, but we did some digging. Since the Biden-Harris re-election campaign announcement in April, Kamala has had 27 days with nothing on her schedule, a month off. We have no idea where Kamala's been or who she's been with, what she's been doing. And it's interesting that Kamala has had a whole month off this summer and no one noticed. The events she has done are not what you'd consider substantive. Greetings for the LSU women's basketball squad, attending a concert on Juneteenth and being the artificial intelligence czar. But I have a hunch Biden sent Kamala to the summit because he didn't feel like wearing the colorful shirts. Now, Primetime's told all leaders are required to sport these locally woven button-downs. And I, for one, think Kamala strikes a formidable and fashionable statement. Last year, Biden, safe to say, did not pull off the look. He looked like Hillary. So Kamala was in charge, and she granted an interview to the AP. The reporter basically asked her, "Why are you here?" And this was her answer.
I feel very strongly about the importance as a general matter of engaging in U.S. policy as it relates to foreign affairs in a way that we pay attention, of course, to the immediate concerns and threats if they exist, but that we also pay attention to 10, 20, 30 years down the line and what we are developing now that will be to the benefit of our country then.
I'm going to read you word for word what she just said. Ready? I feel very strongly about the importance as a general matter of engaging in U.S. policy as it relates to foreign affairs in a way that we pay attention, of course, to the immediate concerns and threats if they exist, but that we also pay attention to 10, 20, 30 years down the line and what we are developing now that will be to the benefit of our country then. Why does she make it so hard? Just say you're executing the Biden foreign policy in the Pacific to strengthen our partnerships and our military alliances as we see the rise of China. That's it. Why can I do that and she can't? But Kamala broke some big news in Asia. When asked about Joe's health, she says she's ready to take over the job of president. But she says, don't worry, the president's fine. Not great, just fine.
Do you feel prepared for that possibility? And serving as vice president prepared you for that job?
Yes. I'm answering your hypothetical. But Joe Biden's going to be fine. Right. So that is not going to come to fruition. But let us also understand that every vice president understands that when they take the oath, that they must be very clear about the responsibility they may have to take over the job of being president. I am no different.
When a woman says everything's fine, is it? And Kamala isn't like all the other vice presidents. She's serving under the oldest president in the history of America. What you should have said is that the president's in great shape and it's not even an issue I've ever even thought about. That's it. So why didn't Kamala cackle? Why was she so somber and explicit about the succession plan? Well, the Harris White House is coming into sharper focus. She's watching the throne. The choreography is crystal clear, strutting through columns of armed men, the pageantry, the pomp and circumstance. Signals to Democrats, and especially Gavin Newsom, this is how you do it, and don't you dare stop it. In fact, Team Kamala is leaking that if Newsom challenges her for the nomination, she'd paint him as racist. But the new Biden biography portrays a Kamala Harris not as powerful, but as picky, petty, and insecure. Biden's chief of staff, Ron Klain, found Kamala to be a lost cause. Quote, he felt Harris kept making life excessively difficult by imposing all sorts of constraints on herself. She told him that she didn't want to work on women's issues or anything to do with race. She wanted her office to be majority female and to have a black woman as chief of staff. To Klain's ear, she was creating too many rules, and they made it hard for her to find her footing. Kamala didn't want to work on female or black issues, but she wanted a majority of her staff to be female or black. The Biden biographer also said that Kamala quit her job as border czar. Quote, she let the criticism guide her. Instead of diligently sticking to the Central America assignment, she seemed to accept the conventional wisdom about it. It was a futile gig. Biden making her border czar felt like a sadistic hazing ritual. The Biden-Kamala weekly lunches have almost stopped completely. The biographer says Biden didn't feel especially obliged to coach her along. And behind the scenes, Joe Biden was openly joking about replacing Kamala with Dr. Fauci. He wanted another old white male. Biden would jokingly direct Fauci to sit in the vice president's chair. But joking aside, Joe Biden didn't put much stock into Kamala's political future and is running for re-election because he believes Kamala would get smoked in a general.
I think he looks at the threat that Trump poses to the country and he says, I'm the safest bet in that battle against Trump, which is obviously an incredibly subjective analysis, but it is grounded on the fact that he actually is the Democrat who beat Trump in 2020. And also, if there was a primary and if you just don't know what happens when you open up the doors to an alternative.
Someone who deftly zeroed in on the Biden-Harris conundrum was Nikki Haley, who said this.
Kamala is not up for the job, and I will continue to say a vote for Joe Biden is a vote for Kamala Harris. That's who we're actually running against.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.